Hello, beautiful rainbow souls. Welcome to another Cosmic Heart Conversation podcast where we gather lots of amazing, incredible souls who are sharing their light and their wisdom. They're working through the fields of divine consciousness to transmit this through their own field, to share this to the collective so that we can raise humanity's consciousness together. It's an incredible and honorable duty that these beautiful beings are here committing, bringing this in, through all the turbulence of the frequencies. They're still here and they're doing this. And we're honored now to speak with one today, which is Hillis Pugh. And I really can't wait to hear your story and to welcome you in. And you're really here sharing a lot. You're also one that has podcasts and books and guidance. So you've got much to share with us. So please welcome yourself into the space.
Thank you for this day, for this moment to have this experience and this expression with you. It is brilliant to have this communication to help people to honor who they are. And by with that, I honor myself in this space of me being the soul mentor and energy architect that I am to be of service to people. It's just wonderful to have this platform to guide others on their journey, because it's it's I don't want to say it's a long journey, but it's definitely an interesting one in how we start off as seedlings. As we mature, it's the space of maturity that offers the experience of wisdom that we are wanting for ourselves. And so I'm happy to be this tree to offer such guidance to others today.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, exactly. And I love it when you said art, use the word architect, because I really see that as well. Like that's what we're doing. We're becoming we're already architects, but it's like we haven't necessarily always got the awareness of what we're creating and how we're building our reality. And to really say that and voice that is to voice the awareness of your manifestation and creation of the energy, of your energy and the energy of reality, which is everything.
Yeah, I mean, and it took me a while to really step into that, because, as just briefly share my journey, my journey began with gratitude and really understanding what gratitude is, and then understanding that gratitude has a relationship to the law of vibration, both of which I teach, have great experience and knowledge with. But as I moved on the path, it took me to my psychic mediumship, where I understood how to commune with spirit, to commune with soul, to have crossed over, to commune with the energy that's around me. And then as I moved through that aspect of my journey, I then began to explore the playfulness of energy around me, and really understanding how to utilize the limitless energy of the planet, of the elements, of the universe, to be of service to other people, to help nourish their souls, to be that person to say, there's nothing wrong with you. You just got to put everything back together, put everything into alignment. And so it is in that journey to where I began to learn how to utilize energy and to help people. I really dislike this word because it implies so many things, but the word heal, it it implies we're broken, but now that's another story for another moment. But as I stepped into learning how to utilize the energy, it really guided me to understanding that when you are utilizing energy, when you are materializing energy in such ways, you are an architect. It is your awareness that brings the energy to you and to be of service to you. So you are in control of that. And so architects are the designers. We are the creators. We are the builders. We lay the foundations to have something more, to create something more sustainable that is not just for us, for self, but for everyone, which is why I feel the word architect, kind of suits me better than one who just facilitates, because I facilitate energy that also help to design it as well for the intended purpose of whoever it is that I'm working with.
Beautiful. Yeah, and it just, yeah, I always get loads of like little pictures of things, and that's really nice. So where did that really start for you? Where did this journey into, exploring spirituality and energy come in for you?
Wow. It's one of those things that I feel has always been with me, but it wasn't until, a little over a decade now. Wow, it feels funny to say that, a little over a decade. Wow. That it came into my full awareness and really playing with the energy, really touching it in a tangible way, and really feeling the energies even now with the energies that are current on the planet, with the celestial event, with the, I forget which bodies are in alignment, Jupiter, Mercury, the moon, it's like 5 others. So it's like I feel that energy. And then I also feel the energy of the Schumann resonance on the planet. I also feel the energy of my plants. I also feel the energy of my clients. And so just really, you know, understanding throughout my life how I was always aware in different levels of awareness and how it expanded out. And in the level of expanded awareness came to my sense of self, of truly understanding that I am energy. I am, this being who is here to impart wisdom, to guide others, to help them understand that you are energy and you're just on this journey to really understand how to connect to that in which you all really are. So that has been part of my journey.
Yeah, yeah. Were there any particular like events that you would say that kind of really were like, whoa, that really opened something up? Like, something was just. Did I just shift? Like I feel like I'm in a totally different reality.
You know, oh my goodness, I can't even begin. There have been so many events that have really said, yes, this is the path, but um, wow, honestly, I'm sitting here going through like the last 10 years of, yes, that one, that one, that one. But the one that I felt that started it off, which kind of scared me a little bit, was I was in my apartment and I felt a presence in my apartment, and it just freaked me out, like totally freaked me out. And I had to get out of my apartment. And so as I was walking down the street, I felt the presence following me. And as I was walking down the street, I was walking past people, and I could hear their thoughts. I'm like, what is this? And that freaked me out even more. And as I allowed myself to feel this, I was like, I don't want this. I don't want this. So what, by whatever means, I turned this off. My ability to be empathic. But it wasn't until about maybe 10 years later after that, because I was in my late 20s, early 30s. So no, not even 10 years. Probably maybe about 4 or 5 years after that experience, I was intrigued to learn how to hone my ability. So that event sparked me wanting to seek the proper guidance and knowledge to hone what I already had. Well, then I ended up going to school to really learn it. And it was in school that I really began to understand the subtle nuances of how uh, the energy that I had and how I was able to connect and help other people with it. And it was then when I understood the viability and the value of this being able to be of service on such an extreme level, on such a high level. Because I've been on the other side to where I was receiving. And then I was like, wait, I'm able to do this now for other people. This is awesome. And so then that's when everything began to expand. I would say, that was my first real experience of really knowing what it was that I had. And so it's like I just can't sit on this. I have to carry
Mm. Yeah, to be feeling everybody's thoughts can be quite, you know.
it. Yeah, what you see in the movies
Mm.
is real about, when people's abilities. And I call them abilities for a reason because that's what they are. These aren't gifts. Because people think, oh, you're a gift, you're a gift. No, these are abilities that we all have access to. And we all just have to teach ourselves, understand what it is that we have and what it is that we are experiencing in our level of awareness. And
Mm.
so the abilities come online and we freak out because that's what happened to me. Didn't know what was happening and listen to other people's thoughts. It was very, very overwhelming, hearing people's thoughts. And so as I honed my abilities, one of the things that I promised myself is that I would not do anything without anyone's permission.
Mm.
So that is, my moral shield, if you will. So if someone candidly asks me something, I say, well, I could ask, but I need your permission first. And
Mm.
so it's just that level of sense of not being intrusive, because when your abilities are just open, you're just open and all the incoming energies just come at you. So it is, that's just one way, one tool to where you can not necessarily, say protect yourself, but be more mindful, more aware of who and how you connect.
Mm. Yeah, learning how to, yeah, just discern between your energy and others.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's a lot, especially being an empath. It's a lot to say. Oh, okay, it's just
Mhm.
kind of off-putting because I mean, empaths, which we all are, but those who are more aware of this ability, they, have more of a higher sense of, what to stay away from or what to navigate through. It's just not in their alignment of their energetic field.
Definitely. I mean, I would say a lot of empaths, me included, have felt almost like, you go through this of feeling like a victim of being an empath. It's
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
and see people. I remember when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, like this is happening, that's happening. They're like, well, you're like a sponge. You're an empath. So you sponge everything up. You're a bit of a light. So then everyone wants a bit of that light, and it's just like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I can't help being like this. I'm just this. And then you start to realize that, oh, there's actually tools, and the more you practice on your energy field and look after it, the more you become more discerning and can actually decipher rather than hiding away as well. Like I remember meeting a woman a few years ago, and she was such a beautiful soul, and incredibly open, you know, but she would hide. She was hiding from society and life, you know. She just spent her time indoors because it was obviously a lot easier for her to do that than actually interact with the world, because of how intense that was for her. And you know, if I ever had the opportunity, because I wasn't experienced or anything then, I was just a beauty therapist who you know, exchange, you know, I did practice Reiki, but not to the same degree now, like, you know. So it was just for people like that. I'm just thinking, yeah, we have to sort of really bring this out now, as to share of how we can really utilize, because there'll be more people that are open and opening, and then you don't want to just hide away.
No, I mean, and I feel that's, you know, what's happening now. There's a lot of people who, especially, you know, younger generations than you know, are really stepping into their abilities and really wanting to understand and have that proper guidance to wield them, to use them properly. And when we have, you know, that first experience that is very overwhelming, it triggers us into the space of fear, not wanting to use them and say, well, this is my life, and so be it. And so, you know, it triggers that fear, then it also triggers that acceptance of, you know, I can't do anything else. But, you know, this is why I prefer the term architect or facilitator, as I used in the beginning, because, you know, once we understand what we have, we then can utilize it for the intent that it's meant to. I mean, now is not the time to hide, because even now on the planet, there's so much that's hidden already. And if we choose to hide, we hide ourselves from fulfilling our purpose. And part of being an empath is that no one can lie to you. And so, and why even lie to yourself to begin with, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing a lot of people are afraid of. A lot of people are afraid of expressing the truth or living in their truth, which is also triggering for a lot of people, because, you know, we all have that one little thing that we don't ever tell anybody, which is fine. But at the same time, you know, when you're walking down the street and you're being overwhelmed by people's thoughts or feelings, then you have to ask yourself, is this mine or is it someone else's? And then, and I tell you, you know, when I had that first experience, I was triggered personally because, you know, there was, you know, there's one person who was cheating on in their relationship, and one person was doing this, and one person was doing, like, all these hidden things, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just like awful. So I get why people who are empaths feel the way that they feel, because, you know, as an empath, we go right into the deepest, darkest corner of someone's mind, or having their thoughts without having that intention, because it's just there. And so, yeah, discernment is especially important when doing this.
Yeah. I always wonder as well, like, if everyone had that perception of reality and was being and able to experience that openness, would there even be things like that? You know, because if everyone, do you see what I mean? It's like,
No, no, that's my thought exactly. You know, and it really brings to mind some of my favorite sci-fi shows. You know, where there's aliens and they use telepathy, and, you know, and you can't, you know, lie to them because they know if you're lying, and then they say, oh, well, I don't have full access to your mind. I'm like, well, you can't access that part, that's not for you. So I mean, there are ways to train the mind, we just haven't gotten there yet, to put up these barriers. But yeah, honestly, if we was full on species that utilize telepathy, yeah, there wouldn't be any, you know, crazy politicians running around. We would know the truth. There wouldn't be any of this war or famine. I mean, there wouldn't be anything to hide, in my opinion. And so we would all definitely be more of a loving race. I mean, we would know everyone's true intentions.
Mm.
And, and I think that's part of where we are right now, is really unveiling and understanding the next level of our abilities as a species. Some of us have this already, and now it's time for the rest of us to catch up.
Yeah, yeah, I like that because I know not to go off too into this direction or anything because, you know, but like a few people have sort of said about, certain things that can get leaked, like people's personal information and date. People are worried about like the data side of things with even all on the web.
Yeah,
Sometimes a part of me is just kind of like, I don't really care. Like I don't really have anything that I particularly think that I'd be like totally outraged that someone, nothing. If someone got through my whole computer, like there's nothing on there. Do you know what I mean? Or even to look at all of my, hospital history, like that wouldn't. I'd be open about that because I think it's nothing
yeah,
there. And so I sort of see that as the same within our minds, and it's like I wonder if that's kind of happening collectively in these like material things, that these things are starting to get exposed, and then we suddenly realize that we can actually be like, oh, it's actually okay that we all have a bit of stuff going on, and it starts to
yeah.
loosen and
And I think it's more so has to do with the mindset.
mm,
Because part of the reason why stuff is hidden is because of the energy of shame that
mm,
is attached to it. That we are embarrassed about something, or and it has to do with our upbringing and how we were taught as individuals by our families on why certain things remain hidden. There are things on my laptop that I wish nobody would see because it's client stuff, and I don't want anybody to see my client stuff. So that's different. Like it's But when it comes to personal stuff, no. I mean, I don't have anything that sensitive on here. I mean, and yes, I mean I have certain information, personal information about my clients, but that's different. And no one has access to what I have access to but me. And even still, when I do the work that I do, and this is how I know it's not meant for me. Because once I do a reading on somebody, once I do an energy session on someone, I completely forget. Once it's done, once it's been expressed, it's gone.
mm,
And that's what I really appreciate about this ability, because that I have trained myself, the relationship that I have with my higher self, my soul, the relationship that I have with my guides, that once this is done, it's done, it's gone. It's not of me. And so I don't have to carry that energy anymore, which is wonderful.
mm,
And then the beauty of this is that, for example, when I do energy work on my clients, or even have repeat clients that do readings with me, there's this book marker, if you will. So if we do, a series of sessions, and then Spirit is like, remember when we did that? Remember how well that worked with that person? Let's do that again. And so I won't remember that until I'm in a session. Or if I have a client that I've been doing the readings with, I don't remember who comes through for them until I'm back in session. I don't remember any of them because it's all up here in it's all up there in the ethers. It's all
mm,
um, you know, on the soul level. It's all contained up there, which is the beauty of what I do. So everything remains confidential. Everything remains a secret because even heck, I don't know till it comes time again. So that's the beauty of what it is that I do. It's just simple, but
yeah.
yet it's so protected and so guarded and so loved. It's just like, yeah, okay, there it is.
That just makes me laugh. I just remember sometimes I've had it where people gone, "Oh, you said this thing. What was that thing that you'd said about da 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 da?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't remember now."
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, "Hang on, I'm gonna have to go back in, tune in to ask to get that message, because I don't know. That didn't come from me directly. That came from, like you said, a soul, isn't it?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think a lot of people who's on the receiving end, don't understand. So I always have to express to new clients that it's like, I want you to understand that once it leaves my mouth, once it leaves my field of energy, I have no recollection.
Mm.
And I think that's done on purpose, because if it was meant for us, it will stay with us.
Mm.
And there are maybe very far and few things that have stayed with me just as an example or learning for myself, as I work with people in the future. But I mean, but the beauty of this energy is it is just what it is. And when we make it so hard or challenging to utilize it, as opposed to just being the simple vessel to allow the flow, allowing us to be the simple channel, the facilitator of that in which needs to be.
Mm.
And we tend to forget that because we've been trained as a species to hold on to every little nugget that we can, or every little detail, every little thing. And so it's just interesting, and even I'm being guided to share this because someone out there may need to hear this. And so that, even when I've had my plant medicine journey, I've done all different kind of plant medicines. I've been doing it for a while now, a long while. And I don't remember every single experience in its entirety. I remember what I'm supposed to remember.
Mm.
And I think that's the message here for everyone. It doesn't matter where you are on your path, where you are on your journey. We can go to school and we can learn how to utilize and navigate our abilities, but at the same time, only hold on to what is important for you. Only hold on to what is for you. Only hold on to what you know is going to be of service to you. And then the rest, it may not be for you. And then if it is meant for you, it will come back up. It's like, hey, check this out. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And so it's in this space of allowing us to remember what we need to remember till we get to the next.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, and that's so true, and that it kind of reminds. I feel like I needed to hear that because I sometimes sort of get like flashbacks of certain things, and I think, oh, why is that like popping up? But it's in alignment with maybe something that's going on, and it's just a reminder of like that's what you've released. So now there's like a new way of going through this. There's a new turning point, or it's an initiative and a reminder to take the reins on it in a different way than what you maybe have done before. So okay,
Yeah.
that could play out that way again. So I'll remember that now. Thanks.
Yeah. It's important because as we allow ourselves to continue to expand into our awareness of who we truly are,
Mm.
we then now have to begin to remember that we often speak in pictures, because me being clairaudient and understanding my strongest of my senses is my hearing, my clairaudience.
Mm.
Then I see, then I feel, and not necessarily in that order, but it is knowing and understanding that the primary space is to see, and that we speak in pictures, and we speak in vibration, and we speak in energy, and everything that resonates from this human form comes from one of those spaces.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really good one to touch on actually, because people are often quite confused, aren't they, with where their senses are or what their more clear is. And I know with imagery and visions or something, people often think that they haven't got that and that it's not there, but it's like you're always, if you're able to look at something that happened 2 minutes ago, if you can see that, then you can see other things. You just got to be able to like open yourself up to the imagination of it, because it is really tapping into the imagination
Yeah,
that allows us to do that.
yeah, because you also think of it in terms of being simplistic as well, because a letter is a picture.
Mm.
It's not necessarily, have to visualize the whole entire room, but a word in itself is just a picture. A letter is an image.
Mm.
So it's just allowing us to really understand the way that the person who may be receiving the message receives it. And then it always gets caught up in the interpretation of that, of what we receive, which is why sometimes pictures are some of the best ways, but it's also the interpretation of what we see. And then also about what we feel as well,
Mm.
because the interpretation of the resonance, the vibration of what we speak, tone of what we speak is also important as well, because it speaks in vibration. And it is the vibration that also conveys the energy of who we allow ourselves to be. And even just now, I felt the shift of my tone, the
Mm.
shift of the words that come through. And this happens very often with me when I do my sessions with my client. Everything shifts down to a lower octave
Mm.
because it's a space of resonance energy that is being emitted from this field, so that way it can be felt in the space where it needs to be felt. So there's a lot of ways where information can be conveyed through the human body.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I just said something really funny. I've got to say it. It's like when you've got a telephone voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Got my
Or that
telephone.
radio
Hello.
voice.
Yeah.
Because we often, when we have friends and family or a partner,
Mm.
we talk differently to everybody and in different moments. And so it's almost, because my first love is poetry. I'm a poet by nature. Uh and so there's a lot of painting that can happen with words and how they are conveyed and how you enunciate. And so there's just the love of the language that I have to really step into that form of expression.
Mm. Yeah, indeed. I think poetry is a really divine expression. We can talk and we can try and be really analytical and give an explanation in that way, but that poetry, it just hits you differently. It feels differently in your field, and it speaks to you differently. It's like I was even speaking to some people on the weekend about how even English in itself specifically is quite limited
Oh
language.
yeah.
You know, because there'll be if you look at say Sanskrit for instance, one word like mantra could mean kind of many things. It doesn't, whereas but our interpretation of it will sound really limiting. So like a word could mean something, we would only see it as like love or joy, but you know it could actually, there are different levels of love in that word that we don't have for. It's just we have love, and there isn't really octaves of love, in our language.
Yeah, I mean, even when and I'm glad we're going in this direction. Even when there is Spanish, or when there's French, or when there's Russian or Ukrainian or um, Welsh or Mandarin or Cantonese or Chinese,
Mm.
there's all these different languages, and the English language is such a poor version of these other languages. I hate to say it, but you know, there's the other languages have such a broad vocabulary and what things could mean with inflection, tonality, gender, all of these things. And so when you try to express something or translate something into English from another language, it's kind of limiting. It's like, oh, there's no words for that in English. I'm like, well, what do you mean? And so, in my journey of really understanding, language and English and light language and things like that, it's really, really profound, because the first time that I heard light language, or what I thought was light language, was someone speaking, Spanish, French, and either Chinese or Japanese all at the same time. And I'm like, they're speaking all these different languages. And then I'm like, that's what it sounds like to me. This is what this is. And then I'm like, that doesn't sound quite right. But who am I to say what's light language and what's not? And because it's different for everybody. And so as I really pursued this journey to really understand what this was, or what this is rather, I began to hear different transmissions. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like anything I've heard before. Oh, that's, and then, able to feel that light language, is not of this planet, and so it gets into the body. So light language is also in the body in the form of dance. Light language is in the form of art, in the form of drawings and paintings and things of this nature, and all these other art forms of expressions. But what really hit home for me is, as I really felt into the wisdom, knowledge of this, and I'm saying to myself, asking myself, what is one of the oldest languages on the planet? And what came to my mind was Chinese and Japanese. Those like the oldest on the planet presently. Not talking about Egyptian hieroglyphs. I mean, anything that's spoken now, and how over time, not talking about Sanskrit, Egyptian hieroglyphs, not talking about Sumerian writings, not talking about any of that. Just talking about what's present and spoken on the planet. And as I dove into this, it brought me back to a memory of when I was in 5th grade, where this teacher was teaching us simple Chinese letters. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And so then it took me to how the interpretation of that is also light language. Because the characters was similar to what I was doing at the time. And I'm like, this is even more interesting. How the characters resemble some of my personal light language. And so then when I began to speak it, which I don't speak it often, because there's this process that I have to go through to really interpret and understand what it means before I speak it. Because I just, I'm not like most people where I just, am in the flow and I just speak it. No, it has to be an intent behind it. Make sure that I understand what it is that the message is. And so as I began to speak it, and some of the words, it almost sounded like Japanese or other worldly languages. And I'm like, this is interesting, and how this is all interconnected. And so I'm still on this journey to receive this wisdom, to really understand the foundational space of it, because it feels that this energy is universal. And I'm sorry if I'm just going on here, but the reason how I come to understand all of this is the energy work that I do, because I'm a Lemurian light worker. That's the energy work that I do, which stems from Syrian energies. So the planet Sirius A, B, and C, they sent down teams, to create civilization here on Earth. And so that's the energy that I am connected to. And so the civilization was Lemurian before Atlantis. And so people always think that Atlantis was first, or Lemuria was first. Who cares? Right? Whatever you believe. But it is in that energy stream that I'm connected to. And if I allow myself to truly connect to my higher self, my galactic self, my previous incarnations, I allow myself to feel where this is coming from. And so it's the power and beauty and the simplification of this. We make everything here so hard. And so now it's time to make everything so simple.
Yeah, simplify.
Yes.
So was your Lemurian connection kind of one of the first to really come online for you with like your multidimensional awareness?
Oh goodness, no. That was like the last thing. The first thing was my psychic abilities. But my Lemurian, so when I was getting ready to have my level 2 Reiki attunement, I found this person, well, not found, I was guided this person to my teacher. Like, hey, I am teaching Lemurian Light Energy. It helps with this, and this, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I really want. And so, because I'm attuned to Usui level 1 Reiki, but then when I found this, it's like, this is what I really need. And not a lot of people are aware of this. It's not a lot of people that do the work, energy work that I'm attuned to. There's only one person right now and actually teaching it, and I'll be able to be teaching this by the end of the year, early next year, to help people with this, because this particular energy is galactic. It comes from Sirius. If anyone knows about Sirius, it's pretty much the galactic center of the galaxy or universe, whatever what you want to call it. And so it's in that energy in which I connect to and channel to be of service to other people, and to help really understand, how to be of service and really step into my purpose as a facilitator, as an architect, as one who helps.
Yeah, so with that then, so this is interesting for me because I had done some training with Reiki and stuff years ago, and I really connect with Yusi, but what happened to me, my hands started to want to do different things, and then the sounds started to come on, and drawing specifically, actually very similar to you, because I started to do some drawings, and I was sharing it with an angel group who were doing our Reiki and stuff, and they said the similar thing. They said that looks like ancient Japanese or something. Georgia, like, do you want you should go and research that. And I'm like, okay, like, yeah, maybe, oh wow, I'm channeling ancient Japanese. I thought this is kind of where it had started. And then I started to ask, I wanted to learn more, so I was going into meditations to learn more. And then I, the same, got this download about being in Lemuria and everything, and had Lemurian guidance coming in. So this is why it's just so funny. Like, I literally, there is about, this whole month has been Lemurian, because you and the other two people who I've interviewed before, you're all very Lemurian, have it in their names or their work and stuff. So it's just so funny. Anyway, it's not intentional, it just happens. I think I just get guided to speak to certain people, you know what I mean? And then, hey, look at the synchronicity. I'm obviously meant to connect with all you guys. But yeah, so how does it differ, if you don't mind me asking, this particular training?
I mean, for how Lemurian is different from the Reiki energy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I personally don't have a full grasp, only because I've only gone through level 1, and people who I know who are grand masters.
Mm.
And I feel that if you are in like level 1, level 2, it feels like if you are in like junior high, okay? And the work that in Grandmaster Reiki and what I do is almost like postgraduate school.
Mm.
And so it's like I kind of like took a shortcut, if you will. I didn't go to level 2, level 3, and then Grandmaster because I'm not saying that the journey is any different because the process for me took about 6 to 8 months of me clearing out my own stuff,
Mm.
getting used to this energy. So it's a process, of really owning it and being committed what is best for you. And so the space of where it differs, I believe, is the potency of the energy that you're able to transmit.
Mm.
And I know some people who transmit Reiki, they use the symbols and everything, just like I use symbols. So I don't feel there's a big difference in how you transmit energy. I know for me personally, what I do and how I was taught is that I utilize all the energy around me, earth energy, infrared energy, elemental energy, the complete light spectrum, galactic energy, sounds, vibration. I use all energy around me and I'm able to move it through my meridian system and be of service to other people. And from what other practitioners have told me, Reiki practitioners, they've told me that they channel energy from their body. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Why would you want to use energy of yourself? And I think that's the main purpose here is if you're going to do this work, find the right teacher.
Mm.
Find the person who's going to help you and to guide you on the right way to channel the energies to help other people to be of service. I think that's the major difference is how to utilize and channel the energies and how much energy you channel or what are your sources for the energy that you channel. And so it's just those little things that make a big difference.
Yeah, yeah, like not sourcing out your own life force energy, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, honestly, I have been taught and shown where I can use radio waves, radio frequencies, microwaves, 5G, energy, all this empty energy that no one is utilizing. I take, what people label bad or negative energy, you know, and even some of the energy from the invisible light spectrum. I utilize some of that energy, able to transmute that energy for a higher purpose. This is not always me connecting to earth energy because sometimes the earth or elemental energy may not be suitable for the purpose of the work that also really understanding the frequency of the energy and what is best for to be utilized for whom I'm working with.
Mm. So it's yeah about tuning in to basically just what is needed for that individual. Like you're really tuning in and
Yeah,
moving intuitively in the field rather than just
yeah,
doing like a routine or a standard procedure. It's like
yeah. And
how
I
can
tell
I
you
be
that,
of service? Yeah.
yeah, I tell you that the way that you can tell if you're doing this the correct or incorrect way is that after you do a session, whether if it's 30 minutes or an hour, if you feel tired enough, if you feel tired after you doing a session, then you are doing it incorrectly. You are sourcing your own energy because no one should ever feel tired after a session. I mean, if they feel tired, it's because something needs to be replenished or something is off, something's not working the right way in your inner system. But no one should ever feel tired after this.
Mm.
I shouldn't say should never, but maybe in the beginning, when you get used when you're getting used to or adjusting to the energies of frequencies that are coming through, yeah, you'll probably feel tired after that. But once you are adjusted to the energies and frequencies, then you should not feel tired thereafter because you know what to expect. Your body knows what body is a clear vessel for the energies to flow through.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, I guess it's not even just about the tiredness, it's just, yeah, how do you feel even emotionally afterwards?
Yeah,
It's like if you've taken on stuff or you feel like you've kind of been, you've had something taken from you, you're going to feel a little bit out of sorts and not, and feel, you know, a bit empty of your own energy. Or, you know, there's those sorts of feelings can kind of come up.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Yeah, so it's like about if you feel really good and you're like, yeah, and this person's like all happy and they're good and you're all, and it's like you might feel a bit tense, but you did a lot of work, you've been working all day, but if you still feel really like good and there's that joy element there because you know you've done something, I think
Yeah,
that really shows, yeah, definitely that you're on that you're in alignment with what you're doing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like I always get really giggly. Like I'm always laughing and giggling when I'm in like transmission, and I feel like that to me is a symbol and a sign that you know I'm working with like really beautiful, loving energy because I feel like that myself. You know, if it feels really serious and it's like, oh, it's like well, obviously that's something's trying to like push something through before it's ready, or if it's not in alignment. You know, that's how I sort of interpret
Yeah,
the energy.
exactly. And I think that's the big key for everyone is that when you are on your path, when you're on your journey, when you're understanding this, you have to step into understanding and interpreting what's happening for you, and understand how it feels for you. Because once you understand how it feels for you, then you can interpret it for someone else. You know, with someone like me who has clear audience, which is sometimes kind of like really good because I can just they just kind of like tell me like, oh yeah, that's what that is. Okay, you know, it's a little bit easier that way as opposed to trying to interpret. Okay, well I feel good, so this is connected to X, Y, and Z, or I feel serious or feel sad or down, and it's connected to a heavier energy. So, you know, it's all about, you know, knowing yourself. I mean,
Mm.
it's what it comes down to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There was something else I wanted to touch on. I think it was more about the the guides and yeah, how you work with your guides to create your because you've got a book. So you've shown me earlier about your with your symbols and everything. So I'd love to talk more about that if you're happy to.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know if one will be able to pop up, but actually, I am actually working on a book for humanity. Um, yeah, of the light kind of blasted out. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
light because
Everyone
the
has to
light
go to your
reflects.
page and go and have a look.
I know, but no, this isn't on my page yet because the ones I just showed you, I'm actually working on a book of light codes, humanity.
Mm.
And so this book would be exclusive to have particular light codes, some of which I'm still getting the meanings of. But how I work with them is, you know, when there is, you know, like during this period of time, when there's high peaks of energy is when most of them come through. Is that I get an itch or I got this image in my head and it's forming. I'm like, and I ask, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? It's like, no. And is it ready? Is it ready yet? Yes. And then I go get my colored pencils and I draw out, you know, simplistic uh, symbols. You know, I don't have anything very complex like a piece of artwork that I've seen, and I love people who do these amazing light language art pieces. I just adore them. Actually, I have one myself that was customized for me. But how I work with spirit is that they just like, hey, we need you to put the symbol down and just put it down on paper with these certain colors and I ask, what is the name of this? Or what is the purpose of this? I actually use them and work with my clients. There's uh, one that I use quite frequently, and it is to bring balance and harmony to the physical and energetic systems. And the word that I use for that one is called murasa, which is consisting of the three syllables of Mu, which is the energy of Lemuria, one of the first civilizations, not just of the planet, but just in the galactic space. Ra, which is, can be also interpreted as the Egyptian god Ra, but also the energy of power, of that power, that resonance, and Sa, S-A, which is which is the energy of balance and harmony, to soothe, if you will. So that's why I use that one with all my clients, because once the session is done, we're going to bring everything back into balance, love, harmony, peace, all that. And so it's just, they know the work that I do. And so they just prescribe me to, hey, this is going to work with you. Hey, this is going to work with your client. So it's comes in different ways, because I'm just open to receive them whenever the time it is for me to receive.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's a really beautiful way to do it, isn't it? Rather than trying to produce and create and manufacture something. It doesn't quite work like that with this sort of energy, because it is about what is.
It's about being in flow.
It's about being in flow. Yeah, it's about being in flow, and it like codes for humanity. It's like you can't try and push that. It's like you're either that's the ability, and even for me, I would say that this is like a gift, to humanity to bring that through, and you're not going to want to just put any old thing out there. It's what's
No, with this, no, there's no way you can just put it out there. I mean, honestly, for this particular project, I was told it was going to be given to me. I'm like, okay. And me being a writer, it's like, okay, well, when is it coming? I want to get going, let's just do it. And it's like, no, not yet. No, not yet. And then one day, it's like, okay, now. And I'm like, okay. It's like, you don't need anything. There's one pencil, paper. And then they just started showing me the images. Then I would see one image, and then all the variations. And I would see another image, and then all the variations. Another image, because each variation has a slightly different meaning. And this is why, the whole thing about Japanese and Chinese symbols, their lettering, came up to mind, because there was, as I remembered back when I was in 5th grade and I was being shown different characters, they showed me the character for big, like this means big. And then if you change this, then it means thief. And I'm like, what? And it was just another variation, just a small change. And so this is how I am being shown to do this, is make it simplified characters in this way. Just almost like Sumerian, or almost like Egyptian hieroglyphs, but not as complicated as Egyptian hieroglyphs. Because they're very elaborate. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that they're not elaborate. There's the hieroglyphs, and then there's the pictures. So this is more like that, because I'm drawing on now that I think about it, Egyptian hieroglyphs are simplified too, because I'm drawing on my Egyptian lifetimes to bring some of that back.
Cool, it's very interesting indeed. And that's exactly, that's it. And like if you see some of those ancient tablets, and they've all got those kind of like little jigs and lines,
Yeah.
form information, it's like the data, it's the codes.
Yeah.
And it is like we're really bringing that back, but in a different way, not on stone.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because, before I started my journey, my path, and I was really into my writing, really into my poetry, people have often said to me, say, yeah, you're going to be a healer. I'm like, what are you talking about? Heal people with my words? Like, no, with your hands. I'm like, well, I write with my hands. It's like, no, no, no. I'm like, but I write poetry. So I'm like, I was very insistent on
Mm.
on this conversation of me communicating and healing people with words. I mean, which I still do, but in a different way. And this was over like 20 years ago when I was still in my 20s.
Mm.
People were telling me, "Oh, you're gonna be this. Oh, you're gonna be that." Heck, if I was to see them now, I don't even remember who they are. But if I was to have the same conversation with them, I was like, "Yeah, you were right. What are you gonna do?"
Mm. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you look at those sort of, or reflect back on some old readings, and you're like, whoa, they
Yeah.
make sense. Did those people even really know? Like, did they know the language? I get a lot of people talking about, saying about me writing books and things, and I'm like, I'm dyslexic, like, there's no way I'm going to sit and write books. And they're
Yeah,
like,
I'm
"Yeah,
really
not in
bad
the
with
way that you
numbers,
think."
though. Yeah, I'm dyslexic too, but I'm pretty good. I'm not. I'm better with letters than I am with numbers. I transpose numbers a lot,
Hmm.
which is probably one reason why I don't like math.
Yeah, but yet then maths is what makes up the universe. We've got like, and sacred geometry. Like I love sacred geometry, and um,
Well, yeah, this is true. This is true. But I have my language. The light language. The voice. That does it for me. Words. There's the simple things.
yeah. I think we're always the ones because our channel is different, and
Yeah.
it allowed us not to be programmed.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. I mean, it's what we're used to. It's what we're accustomed to, and I think that's the beauty of it. Whatever comes through for us in a way that is most comfortable
Mm.
for us, in the way that we can interpret it easiest. And then once we're able to interpret it for ourselves, we then can interpret it for other people.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And we're good at that, interpreting the energy and things in a different way and insights how others wouldn't see.
Yeah.
Just a totally different way of perceiving reality, which is a beautiful way, and I just love that. Again, more synchronicities, isn't it? All these Lemurians, all these dyslexic people that seem to be Lemurian at the same time. Here to
Indeed,
bring the new
indeed.
language.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't wait for that all to, fully come out and be here for the world. And of course, you've got a lot of things here for people. And if it feels resonant right now, like I would love to, sit and receive a transmission for everybody here on the podcast. That could help people maybe with everything that we've spoken about today, or if there's one particular thing that you feel is in alignment at this time, since we're just really in the solstice energies, aren't we, right now? So
Yeah.
all these
A lot
planets
of other
aligning.
energies too.
Yeah.
And so actually, yes, I do feel guided to share a very short um and I know there's a particular perception of the word incantation, but this is the word that I was told to give when expressing these particular sets of light language. And this particular set is a series of 5, but I'm just going to express the 5th one because that one is probably the most powerful of the sets and the one that I know its true meaning. The other ones I kind of know, but I don't know them in their full entirety. So this one here is the 5th of the set, and it loosely translate in transmissions into master of self. So I'm just going to read this for you and for everyone who is watching. Just allow yourselves to center, relax, and just allow for whatever to come in for you to come in for you. Mas, C, new L, U, new L, U, tie L, Mas, U, C, tie new L. Just take a deep breath and allow yourself to know the master of self. Feel the energies that resonates with these syllables, with these letters, to allow for the wisdom that you have asked for to be received. To know and understand that you, above anyone else, is the true master. That you seek to know and to understand self in relationship to self. And just allow yourself to receive what needs to be received in this moment and beyond. As you take in a nice big deep breath and open your eyes, be here, be present with the beauty that is you.
Thank you so much. What a blessing. Really has been a really, really enjoyable podcast. I think we touched on some really interesting subjects. I really enjoyed talking about the language and the sounds. It's so interesting how that all ties into even a conversation I've had over the weekend, and it's like, it's just interesting, isn't it? We're all just constantly in this weaving process of information and learning through our experience and experiencing through each other, with each other. It's always reminds me of how important that is for us all to share and communicate with one another. I know that we talk about looking within a lot, and that's important too, but we are each other. So when we are with each other and communicating, that's the key. It's not the within, is also the reflections of each other that we experience, through this human connection and relationships. So thank you so much for reminding us of our mastery. And may that be reflected back to you. Yeah, definitely. So Hillis, this has been amazing. We'd love to hear about some of your offerings as well. This is going to all the links will be in the description, so people can reach out. And I'm sure there might be other things. If you check in now and you're checking in months down the line, you might want to see, and this book could be released by then, so just...
Oh no, the Codes of Humanity, that's probably going to be about another year or two. I was told it has to be done, but it has to wait for this particular time. So you guys can definitely go on Outlook for that. I am also presently working on launching and preparing the launch of my Syrian School of Mastery, where it's going to be all about, gratitude, law of vibration, my Lemurian teachings, and going to be able to start attuning people to this amazing gift of the Lemurian Light Energy by way of Sirius, A, B, and C. But what I'm most excited about presently is this offering of my soul restoration service, which is a 5-session and possibly more depending on what it is we have to work with. But started out as 5 sessions to where we get to work with your inner child, your adolescents, and adults. Clear away all the trauma, shame, pain, guilt, anything that's holding you down, keeping you stuck. And then we move into the space of soul retrieval, to reclaim your power, to claim your soul, and then move into a light body activation, which
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It got, I don't know why, like, well, I do know why. It got me like even like a little bit emotional. Just thinking about what you did in a really loving way. It was just like, I'm so excited.
yeah,
For
I am.
this, like, the Lemurian energy, the teachings of Sirius, all of this is just really birthing into this reality right now. And it just excites me when I hear what you're doing. And it's rolling out, it's coming, and it's here now as well. I love your offering. I think it's amazing.
Thank you
People really
so
need this
much.
right now. So yeah, really, really beautiful. Thank you. So again, thank you everyone who's listened and tuned in. We'll also be really grateful for the sharing of the podcast, because this gets the information out there, shares the stories. It helps people find the way that they need to be assistance. Sometimes we might not even be aware of these certain types of services, might not be aware of light language. So sharing this out there could actually potentially help others find a practitioner who's incredibly needed for that individual. So that's the work that we're all doing by sharing and spreading this love and this information, so we can also normalize, light language and spiritual practices as a healthy way to nourish ourselves and our evolution, and supporting our just even our general health as well.
It is.
Yeah. So okay, thank you very much. We'll see you next Friday. Bye for now.